So Lanira Murphy, thank you for joining us today. I understand you're running for state assembly. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're running?
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for providing this opportunity and for this forum for people to get informed about races, especially down ballot races. My name is Lanira Murphy, and I am a teacher running for California State Assembly District 46. My district is a large and diverse district in the San Fernando Valley, and it includes Lake Balboa, North Hills, Panorama City, Sherman Oaks, Studio City, Toluca Lake, Valley Glen, Valley Village, Van Nuys, and parts of Hollywood Hills and North Hollywood. So very large and very diverse. I loved your framing of the future of California when you reached out. And in my campaign, the future of California provides medical care for all, housing the homeless and funding the mental health sector, investing in our education system so that we can provide a quality education for all children, no matter their zip code. The future of California will participate in comprehensive law enforcement reform, which includes passing bills like SB 731, a bill that would have allowed bad officers to be permanently stripped of their badges. The future of California will promote small businesses and entrepreneurship by waiving small business startup fees. We have the highest in the nation. Passing comprehensive immigration reform that includes abolishing ICE. Protecting our veterans and actually investing in them being able to transition to jobs after they're done serving our country. And the future of California will participate in campaign finance reform. So candidates are beholden to their constituents and not special interests. Because of that, my campaign, I do not take any special interest money, any PAC money. I took the no COP money pledge and the no fossil fuel money pledge. And I also don't take money from healthcare pharmaceutical companies. And there's so much more. I believe that this pandemic has brought to the forefront the inequities that have been facing our communities for far too long. And I'm excited about this renewed civic engagement, especially in down ballot races. There's so much focus, as you can see on the news, on the federal level, which is important, but the down ballot races are the ones that affect our communities most immediately. Please visit us at www.murphyforassembly.com. You can email me personally at lmurphyforassembly@gmail.com. And then also my social media handles are at Lanira for the number 4 assembly for Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Okay, well, mind taking a few questions, have a little bit of a chat here?
Of course.
All right. So lots of issues affecting the state this year. There's certainly a lot to talk about. It's hard to know where to even begin. But one of the hot topics of discussion today has been around education and California's education system and what maybe we can be doing better. And also it's kind of really been brought to the forefront because of COVID. The different opportunities or lack of opportunities students are having. Could you give us your thoughts as to what you would do if you were in the state assembly with regard to our education?
Yes, the number one thing is properly funding our schools. Our schools are extremely underfunded. I believe like the last several years, California has been at the bottom of the list in states that fund their schools. I believe this year we are up to number 20, which I think is some COVID things are happening and also some states aren't investing as much. I mean, it's California. We are a very, very wealthy state. And so for us to even be in the middle of the pack is unnecessary. As a teacher in my classroom, I saw just the discrepancy in resources and funding of our schools. I taught science, and in my classroom, I didn't even have test tubes, but I went to other schools in affluent areas and they had centrifuges. So I would say funding, and making sure that that funding is getting to the teacher and into the schools.
Okay, good. So I don't know if you heard the last speaker talked a lot about putting the state back to work. I wonder what your views are on how we should go about dealing with COVID and go about getting the state back online. Any strong feelings there?
Yes, I think that first of all, we are dealing with an unprecedented pandemic. No one thought this was coming, and we are varying people have been dealing with these issues in different ways. I think that coming up with comprehensive plans on how we can open small businesses safely and in a healthy manner to make sure that everyone is okay, and starting that opening up process, which is we're kind of on the track for. Also making sure, like I said, supporting small businesses and promoting entrepreneurship. So waiving small business fees to incentivize people to open or reopen small businesses. Like I said, we have some of the most expensive small business startup fees in the nation. And then also by encouraging people to actually interact with their small businesses more and promoting small businesses instead of the conglomerates and monopolies that are happening that are pulling a lot of the resources and the funds away from our small businesses.
Yeah, it certainly is expensive and difficult in this state for small business. I don't think anybody would argue with you about that. And a lot of people have talked about how a lot of small businesses leaving the state. And we've heard different views as to what we can do to retain that tax base and retain companies here. What would you do in the assembly to encourage companies to stay and maybe even relocate here?
Yeah, so one thing that I have been very vocal about in my campaign is repealing AB5. And a lot of people have misconstrued that as me not supporting worker rights. But AB5 was an assembly bill that was passed in January 2020 that sought to reclassify people who are misclassified as independent contractors and freelancers. And what has happened is a lot of small businesses have left California because of it. And actually freelancers and independent contractors aren't even getting jobs from out-of-state employees because they don't want to deal with this law. I would support repealing it. I think that it was extremely poorly written to the fact where lawyers are having difficulty sorting it all out. And a lot of them are actually encouraging their businesses, don't hire independent contractors, don't hire independent freelancers, it's not worth it. And what's happening is, you know, a small business that was employing 5 independent contractors are going down to 2 employees. Also, I believe another shoe is going to drop. The state has set aside $20 million to fund this. And next fiscal year, when small businesses file for their taxes, they will be charged either $5,000 per misclassified employee or up to $25,000 if it seems like it is an intentional misclassification. And I think that we're going to see a second large exodus once that happens, because the small businesses don't have the money to pay these extremely large fines that are going to be coming their way.
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot about that. A lot of people would like to talk about AB5. You know, of course, it's the proposition that's on the ballot would only repeal it, of course, for gig economy, for rideshare companies, not for everybody else. So everyone else is going to be stuck with it if that proposition passes, and even if it doesn't. Is there anything else any other points you would like to make? Anything else you'd like to tell our audience here today?
Yes, to make sure that you vote for all down ballot issues. Like I said, local politics are extremely, extremely important, and making sure that you are informing yourself as much as possible, trying to find a good, credible information out there in order to educate yourself, and just vote. Vote, 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 vote. Thank you so much. Vote.
So, but should we vote? What do you think?
I think we should vote. I think that might be a thing we should do.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for being here. Lanira Murphy, running for State Assembly.
All right. Thank you so much, Roger.